$7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico.
Everybody comes in, your grandmother, your...
Seriously, hot sauce. I've been eating a lot of hot sauce, a lot of raw peppers and hot sauce.
At the same time, the vaccine is one of the greatest achievements of mankind.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
Brandon, I agree. Go, Brandon, I agree.
Testing, testing, testing. Hello? Hello? Testing. Hello? Hello? Testing. Hello? Is that hello? Testing. Hello? Goddamn. There's sirens. It's happening. The apocalypse. Hello? Testing. Testing. Hello? Testing. It's the Above It All show. Everybody, welcome. It's Friday on today's Above It All program. I got myself a beverage. It is Friday. Sunday is Christmas. I will be streaming on Christmas. Both I will be doing Above It All on Christmas Day, 10 a.m. I know it's Sunday, actually. All right, I'm going to stream on Sunday. I'm declaring this now. It's being decreed now. I'm going to be streaming Above It All Sunday at 10 a.m. And I'm going to be doing a Twitch stream immediately afterward where I will be playing The Grinch on PlayStation. The Grinch is a video game where, most importantly, you murder Santa Claus, which is, of course, in line with the war on Christmas. You murder Santa Claus. You destroy Christmas presents. You throw stinky eggs in little children's faces and make them cry. And so that will be on Christmas Day. You will see the tears of children as well as the death of Santa Claus. And I might even play my own Doomwad, also called A War on Christmas. Maybe I'll do a double feature on Sunday. But Above It All, 10 o'clock, Twitch stream immediately after. So, I might use the bathroom. But, still. Anyway, hopefully everyone is having a good day. I've got a couple of news stories that I want to talk about today. And I want to do a movie review. I'm going to be doing a triple feature film review today. So think about any trilogies that I would theoretically have watched pretty much back to back. So I'll be doing a triple feature movie review. 1 series, 3 movies. But yeah, once again, A War on Christmas is my hot new Doomwad. It's got rave reviews. Rave reviews. I don't know what to tell you. If you go on doomworld.com, you'll see it's got a heart. Look at that. I don't know what that really symbolizes. I'm not sure what the algorithm is for the heart. But I got a heart on there. So, I don't care if you like Doom or not. That's not relevant to me. I'm not, it doesn't matter to me if you're a video game person at all. I don't care. Oh, I don't like video games. It doesn't matter to me. You can buy Doom 2 for like $5, and then you can download my game and you can play it. I don't care if you like video games. I don't care if you've ever played Doom. I don't care if you've ever played a video game. If you have $5 that you can give to me in a super chat, you can go somewhere, goodoldgames.com, .org, is it org or com? I don't know, Google it. Steam, whatever. You can buy Doom 2 and you can play my game. It's not that hard. So, I know a lot of people, they're just, I don't play video games. Get over it. Cry about it. And play my game, A War on Christmas. Download it today. It's got rave reviews such as wow and darn and gosh. So, rave reviews, check it out. But, anyway, let's jump in. Brr! It's cold outside! If you live in the United States of America, you may be saying the same thing, according to CNN.com. Winter storm puts millions under alerts coast to coast as record low temperatures and power outages arrive before Christmas. The massive winter storm battering the United States with plunging temperatures coast to coast has left hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses without power and prompted more than a dozen governors to create emergency response plans ahead of Christmas weekend. So I want to show everyone a photograph of, this is a photograph that was taken approximately 40 minutes ago, maybe. It's possible, 47 minutes ago, according to Twitter.com. This is a photograph I took this morning. There is a blizzard going on right now. I've got my window open. I can see it. I can see it happening live. And I took this photo this morning. So the wind is so fierce that it blew the phone from my hand. So just throwing that out there. The storm well on its way to becoming even stronger Friday, which is today, has delivered heavy snow and ice. And ice. You can't forget the ice. Making for grim road conditions with poor visibility and leaving some drivers stranded in unbearably frigid temperatures. Travel is also being snarled. Good vocabulary, with hundreds of miles of road closures and flight cancellations growing rapidly. Can we talk about, by the way, how dumb we are as a society, as a species? That, like, the concept of a snow day, think about it, right? You're telling me I have to wait for an administrator's approval for whether or not I am forced at gunpoint to go into work? You know, so gunpoint, you might be saying, oh, no one's forcing you to go to work. Oh, really? So I'll get fired, and then how am I going to pay my rent, right? So on and so forth. And then if I stay in my house and I don't pay my rent, guess who comes? The cops. And guess what? The cops have guns. So you are forced at gunpoint on a boss's whim to risk your life in a snowstorm. You ever hear these stories of people that die? You know, I hate cars, just foreground. I'm an anti-car person. Every time, every possibility I can to talk about cars being terrible, I will, including right now. But you ever hear these stories of people that die because they're on their way to work during a snowstorm? Like, you ever hear this shit? Someone, like, we know that there's snow. We know it's a storm. We know it's coming, right? We can tell it's going to come days, weeks beforehand. We know it's going to come. We know people are going to die. Statistically speaking, we know during storms like this that's happening right now, right outside my window, I'm looking at it. We know statistically people will die. But bosses are like, what are the odds? We're going to be in the 98% of bosses that don't have people die coming into work. So they roll the dice. But you ever think about it? You don't get to make that decision. If you rolled the dice, let's say, you want to get McDonald's for breakfast, right? And it's a blizzard. And you're like, is it worth getting in the car and risking the ice? And you make the decision, I want to get that fucking, that hash brown, baby, barbecue sauce, ketchup, french fries, fuck yeah. You want to go into McDonald's and you veer off the road into a ditch and blow up or whatever, you die because of ice and unsafe driving conditions. At the very least, you had the decision-making power, right? In that instance. Now, again, you shouldn't be outside in these conditions. But at least you have the decision-making power. But most Americans, they don't have that power. They have no power. They are slaves, most Americans. If you have a job and you don't have a good relationship with your boss, and when I say a good relationship, I mean your boss is your friend. I mean you hang out. I mean you can confide in your boss about anything, right? Like they were a loved one. Which, let's be honest, 0% of people in this country have a relationship with their boss like that, then you are a slave. If you are forced to drive through a minefield to get to work, you have no free will, you have no agency, you are a slave, you have no rights. And so, I know we're doing a segment here about snow, but like, think about it, I know. Why do we have businesses open like fast food? Why are fast food businesses open during a blizzard? Does anyone know? Do people really need Wendy's during a blizzard? Do they really? I don't think so. Now, here's another question to all the people that maybe they don't have a boss. Maybe, they're gig workers and they use applications like Uber or Grubhub or Instacart or whatever, delivery, car, taxi service, applications, whatever. Well, we know people are less likely, right, to want to drive on their own. And we know people are more likely to want to take a service like that. If people want to get McDonald's, they are more likely to get it through Uber Eats than they are to get in their own car and go there during a blizzard, right? Because most Americans, they don't care about delivery workers. They don't. Let's be honest. Think about it. Oh, it's a storm. It's raining outside. Let's order pizza. That's a typical reaction in America, right? But think about how many gig workers and delivery workers are going to die. Now, we could have a system where we have, those snow plows that go through the streets. Imagine if those snow plows that go through the streets, they're specially designed craft, right? That are, they're usable in snowstorms, right? They have traction. They're not going to spin off with ice, right? Imagine we had a society where all the snow plows or the salt machines, whatever they are, right? They also had food with them, right? Let's say they doubled as a food truck. Just think about this. Think about this. Let's say, I'm just here to open your mind a little bit, make you think of an alternative way to live society, right? We don't need cars. We don't need individual transportation. Imagine we have a snowplow, and it's a busy blizzard in the morning. Snowplows going through. It's like the ice cream, truck. They start singing a song. You go out there, you get some hot-ass mac and cheese. You're getting some very hot, warm food right at your doorstep. In a society that would make sense, right? They would have vehicles that are able to traverse the snow. They would have vehicles that are able to, withstand ice without veering off and spinning and doing 700 spins, right? But we don't live in that society. We live in a society where we force people to be individuals and to go kill themselves for other people. And so, I don't know, man. This is what I think about whenever I see people driving. I look out my window right now. I see people driving through the streets. Every once in a while, a car goes by. Why? Where do you need to go? I can see, I'm looking out my window here, and I'm not going to show my window. I don't want to get doxxed here. But I can see that there is ice on the road. I can see sparkles all over the road. I can see that there's snow falling and flowing through the air. Where do you need to go? What is so important that you need to go drive somewhere? Right now, but again, work. Oh, I need to go to work. Why? Because you're a slave. You have no rights, and you are forced at gunpoint to risk your life, and some people will die. Now, we know this. Again, some people say, oh, only 5 people will die in these storms. This is statistically insignificant. Fuck it. Who cares? Oh, really? 5 people are going to die? Well, what's your limit? 10 people die per blizzard because they were forced to go to work? 20 people die per blizzard because they were forced to go to work? What is your limit? Now, again, we're talking about this during a pandemic where people are willing to kill each other to go to Thanksgiving and eat some fucking dry-ass, fucking disgusting, genocidal fucking maniac shit, right? People are willing to kill each other and themselves to get some cranberry sauce, right? Instead of just, making it themselves because they're fucking stupid and they don't know how to cook, right? So we live in a stupid fucking country. But think about this, right? You ever see these people? They're the day before a blizzard happens, they're all flooding the grocery stores. You need to stock the fuck up, right? I don't know, man. I've lived through a lot of blizzards. Now, I say this as someone who does not drive a car, and I work from home, right? So this is my perspective, right? And I'm saying this. Anyone who's going out there and driving to work during a blizzard, y'all got a raw deal in life. And I would highly recommend you do whatever you can to escape that situation. Now, again, obviously everyone's positions are different. But if someone was pointing a gun at my head and saying, you got to go through this minefield, otherwise you're going to be thrown into the street during a blizzard and you will die of hypothermia, right? I don't know, man. I would try my best to get out of that situation. And as a society, we should all work together to get out of these situations, but we don't because Americans want to kill each other. Americans would rather kill each other than do anything about their own personal situation to improve their own individual lives. They would rather kill other Americans than improve their own lives. That's why I don't like calling Americans selfish. I don't. A lot of people say Americans are selfish. Americans are not selfish. If Americans were selfish, we would have universal health care. We would have a universal basic income. We're the richest country in the history of humanity. There has never been more wealth concentrated inside of one nation's borders than the United States of America at all throughout human history. So the idea that we're going to call Americans selfish is wrong. Americans are stupid. They are negligent. They are zombies. They are sheep, but they are not selfish. So, anyway, fuck Americans, fuck cars, and I love the snow. Personally, I might go on a walk. You know, I talk to a lot of people about snow, and most people I know that live in cold environments do not like snow. Why is that? Because they drive, they have cars, and they have to go to work during the snow time. And so as a result, they develop an unhealthy association with snow. I think that that's sad, personally. And again, I say this, I have the privilege of being able to work from home and of not driving a car. That's my privilege, right? And I'm aware of that. But think about how American capitalism destroys your ability to just enjoy the world, the earth. You know? Just like, think about it. Snow. Snow is beautiful. Snow is amazing. Snow is a gift from God. I don't believe in God, but if I did, snow would be a gift from that motherfucker. And yet, so many people are traumatized by harmful associations that they cannot enjoy one of the most beautiful aspects of being alive on this planet. Like, again, I'm telling you right now, I love snow. I love the feeling on my face that I get. I love the look of, you know, everything looks white, way better than that asphalt hell world, concrete jungle hell world that we live in, right? Everything looks nice. Everything looks tranquil. And most Americans, most people, because of cars and because of capitalism, they cannot enjoy seasonal changes. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy to me. That is crazy to me. But anyway, so I just wanted to talk about the snow today. A lot of people in the United States are dealing with snow right now, myself included, and I thought I'd riff on that subject for a little bit. So there you go. Andrea, as always, is giving an uncharacteristically based take. What does that mean, uncharacteristic? I'm a little drunk. Please bear with me. Uncharacteristically based take. Are you saying that it is against my character to deliver such extreme basedness? What is that? Or are you just trying to be like, oh, look at me, I'm a college professor, let me type in my 15-letter word? You know, like, what? Uncharacteristically? Holy moly. Holy cocksucking moly. Oh. Of the human species. All right, I'm in. Redemption tour. Tyler Hackner going to the movie theater for Avatar. You know, I wouldn't, but I'm not you, so let me know how the COVID goes. I will tell you this much. You know, I love movies. And personally, I think the film industry. Now, I have a lot to say about the film industry. The film industry, to my understanding, is one of the industries that takes COVID the most serious. In fact, let me riff on this. So the film industry takes COVID extremely seriously. Why? Well, it's business. If a lead actor gets sick, I mean, you can't film. You can't do any production. Everyone else is going to sit there and go, fuck, the lead actor's sick. Right? So out of their own selfishness, the film industry has created probably the most efficient COVID screening process and safety process in America for themselves, because the film industry is still delivering films to movie theaters nationwide. in exclusivity deals. So think about this. The film industry understands that COVID is a serious problem. They're aware of how serious the problem is. They protect themselves, their crew, their actors, their directors, their producers, their boom mic operators. They're all extremely protected, more protected than anyone else in the country, even in hospitals, even probably equivalent to government. I mean, we have a lot of stupid fucking politicians, right? But think about this. They still release their movies to theaters and exclusivity deals where people go in, get crammed in like sardines to all spread COVID to each other so they can enjoy the latest action thriller, the latest superhero comic book film. Isn't that weird? That's weird to me. That's weird. There's a lot of movies I want to watch coming up. And I'm going to have to spend months of my life avoiding spoilers because I don't want to get infected with a disease that destroys my immune system. Even though the people that made the film are taking COVID really seriously, they don't care about anyone else. Now, again, I'm not going to blame individual directors, individual actors here. It's an industrial problem. It's a capitalistic problem, right? But it is a little fucked up. It is a little weird when you think about it. When you really think about these things, when you analyze the world as we are all living in, it is a little fucking strange that the film industry is so protective of their own when it comes to COVID, but they still have exclusivity deals with theaters all over the country. Theaters are, every time there is a movie that is screened at a theater, it is a super spreader event. And again, we have the technology to just stream it. That's the thing. We have the solution. The answer is right here. This is like someone who is starving to death, and there is Brussels sprouts, steaming, beautiful, drizzled with a little bit of, some good stuff on there. It tastes delicious. It's healthy for you. But they don't like Brussels sprouts. So they would rather starve to death than eat the Brussels sprouts. That's America. We have the solution. We have the answer. It's right there. And yet, we do nothing. So, a little interesting. But I am looking forward to having to dodge spoilers for upcoming films. So, that's great. But anyway, there's my little rant on that one. I don't know if actors would lobby for that, more so the studio executives. I'd be shocked if an actor cared either way, to be honest. But, maybe. I can see it, but I think that seems like more of a studio issue. So while we're talking about COVID, do you have grandparents? I say that as a 26-year-old. Anybody older than me? Do you have parents? Are they old? Do you know old people? Do you have anyone? I don't know. Do people have friends that are just 40 years older than them? I don't know. Maybe. You have a friend who just happens to be double your age? I do, I guess. I have friends who are triple my age. If I count people that watch my show as friends, which maybe, possibly. But anyway, to anyone with old people in their life, you're not going to have old people in your life for too much longer. A COVID-19 senior wave is driving up hospitalizations. You got a grandma, you got a grandpa, you better say goodbye on the telephone while you still can, because that motherfucker is dying. Tick, tick, tick. Life expectancy in this country, by the way, has cratered. Several years of a drop of life expectancy in the United States of America. So just throwing that out there. When Linda Stewart felt a tickle in her throat a few weeks ago, she got worried. She's a 76-year-old woman, and she was well aware of the risks posed to her and her husband's health by COVID-19 flu and other colds that were sweeping the United States amid a rough respiratory virus season. Quote, "I don't want to take any chances with my health." She said, throughout the pandemic, a positive COVID-19 test for a senior has carried an extra heavy weight. Only about 13% of all reported cases in the United States have been among people 65 and older, according to data from the U.S. CDC. But about half of all hospitalizations and 3/4 of all deaths have been in this age group. The COVID-19 hospitalization rate for seniors has generally risen and fallen in line with broader trends, reaching a record high last winter during the Omicron surge and dropping significantly in the summer. But compared with other age groups, hospitalization rates have consistently been higher among the 65 and older population. Now, I am no tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist. But, isn't it interesting that as soon as you start collecting Social Security from the government or your pension from a private company, whatever, is when your risk of death is skyrocketing? Isn't that interesting? Just think about it. That's a little interesting. That as soon as you hit retirement age, all of a sudden, you're in the most likely to die age demographic. Now, I don't know. That's a little weird. It's a little strange. You know, what would private companies, capitalist parties, and the government have to gain from killing people off that are collecting passive income from them? Think about this from the government's perspective. Now, the government is an evil entity. We know that. If you pay attention to the world at all, you'll understand that the government is evil. It is a corrupt hellhole full of narcissists. And again, isn't it interesting? You hit retirement age. You're supposed to live your golden years. Except you're old and your body doesn't work that well anymore because you spent the last 65 fucking years destroying your body to work for capitalists. Right? I don't know, man. Personally, I think that's a little weird. I'm just food for thought. Food for thought. I'm not making any claims here. I'm just saying it's a little interesting. Now let's get back here. This winter, COVID-19 trends are again on the rise across the country. So far, the increase appears to be relatively mild. Hospitalizations are ticking up in most states, although the overall rate is still just a fraction of what it was during other surges. Now, again, what the fuck is this fucking shit? So far, the increase appears to be relatively mild. Like, how? Now, again, CNN is a right-wing outlet. So, how is it possible that rates are increasing and they're going to still do minimalization? Okay, we're in the middle of a surge. We're surging right now. It's getting really bad, but it's getting really bad in kind of like a mild way, you know? What? But for older adults, the situation is much more severe. Hospitalizations among seniors are nearing the peak from Delta surge and rising fast. I gotta say this. I am glad to be 26 years old during the COVID-19 pandemic. Under 18s, 92% of under 18s in this country have been infected with COVID-19 at least once. We don't know how many have had repeat infections, but if you've ever seen a public school, chances are a lot of repeat infections are happening. Right? So under 18s, they're fucked. They're fucked. they're fucked. They were forced to go through a medical experiment against their will. They were experimented on by the U.S. government in the form of not being protected from an easily preventable pandemic. Easily preventable. Easily preventable. Vaccines, lockdown, masking, easily preventable. America chose not to do that, and now almost all children in this country have been infected. Now, what is the 8% that haven't been infected yet? Those are probably toddlers and infants that just haven't been to public school yet. Let's be honest, right? So think about that. Under 18s, they are fucked. And then the old people, they're fucked. They spent their whole life working for this system. And now, as soon as they hit retirement, this system is trying as hard as it can to murder them. Isn't that just, like, what? It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, this shit that we're dealing with here in this country is crazy. I mean, I don't know, man. You talk about luck. I'll tell you this much. Being 26 right now, feeling pretty lucky. Hey, I'm going to be honest. Feeling pretty lucky. I'm nervous to get old. I'm nervous to hit retirement age. Who knows what the government's going to throw at me by the time I retire? I don't know what I'm going to retire from. But hey. The age gap has never been wider. Since October, the COVID-19 hospitalization rate among seniors has been at least 4 times higher than average. Even during the first winter surge in 2020, when COVID-19 took a devastating sweep through nursing homes, there was never more than a 3-fold difference. So, let's look at this. October 30, December 18. What is it? Okay, 2021, December 18. So what do we have knowledge here? December 3. So let's look at December 3 here. All right, December 4. Right? We have a 33.8 on this chart. December 3, we have a 29.2 on this chart. Now, again, this is what they're using to determine that this is mild. About a 4-point difference. Now, what does this chart measure? Weekly hospital admissions per 100,000. Okay. So a 4-point difference. Now, was 4 points, you know, it's a difference. It's measurable. It's a difference. But factor this in. Factor in that a lot of people who were hospitalized last year are dead. Are dead. They're dead. So they can't be hospitalized again this year because they died already. Right? They're already dead. So the people dying now are a different group of people. A different group of people. Now, again, 65 and older is the demographic and more likely to die now. But think about this. 10 years out, 5 years out. Are we just going to deal with a mass extinction of the elderly every year? I mean, hey, that's what flu season basically was anyway. But think about this. Now, I say this sincerely. If you have anyone in your life above the age of 60 or 50, give them a call. They're not going to be here much longer. I'm being honest. This is an honest reading of the world. We are going through a mass, purposeful genocide of the elderly, the disabled, the immunocompromised. That's what we're going through. Now, I say purposefully. Does that mean that they created the virus and they spread it through the waters? No. But they can prevent it. The government could have prevented it and chose not to. If you know there's a hurricane coming and you don't tell anybody and 30 people die in the hurricane, that was a purposeful, desired outcome, right? So I just want to say this much. I see this, right? December 4, 33.8. And then I look at this. Then I look at this. Now, we don't have that data yet, at least according to the CDC and CNN. We don't have the data yet. But, 4-point difference from December 4 to December 3. I mean, I mean, just going by the numbers, we're still going to see a giant surge. But wait, I have good news. The CDC stopped counting cases. They stopped. They gave up. They threw in the towel. So we're not going to see the surge until people start dying. Hospitalizations and deaths are lagging indicators. They are lagging indicators. You get infected with COVID. A week later, you have COVID, you have symptoms, you're sneezing, you're coughing, you can't breathe. Within the next week, you go to the hospital. That's 2 weeks after infection. You're struggling in the hospital. Eventually, your struggle ends. You die. Maybe 2.5, maybe 3 weeks after infection. Right? So when we see hospitalizations, now again, this number going down last year, this number is not going down because people recovered. This number is going down because this chart measures hospitalizations. Right? When you die in the hospital, you are no longer hospitalized. So this gives us no information on how many people recovered. So when you see this, right, this peak from January 15, 22, and then all the way down to this low from April 2, 2022, this is not a good thing. This just means a shitload of people died and are no longer occupying hospital space. Right? So again, I guess America has decided we don't need old people. If you live in America, your life expectancy, let's be honest, you shouldn't expect to make it out of your 30s if you live in this country. You shouldn't expect to make it out of your 20s if you live in this country. Hey, 92% of under 18s have gotten infected with COVID. I saw this recently that suicide is actually one of the leading causes of death in the age range of 5 to 14. Now, hey, raise your hand if you tried to kill yourself when you were 14 years old, right? So I feel it. But think about this. How much prevalence is suicide going to have in a society when people at the age of 12 can't taste candy anymore? When they can't go outside and play because they have joint pain? Hey, I'm just saying, COVID-19 leads to suicide. It's just a fact. I've seen a lot of people over the course of the last couple years, not personally, not like friends of mine, but, through stories in the media, through friends of friends, people that have killed themselves because they couldn't taste food for a year. Imagine going a year of your life without being able to taste food. Yeah, I'd think about killing myself too. So suicides in this country are skyrocketing, but we're not going to do anything about suicides. As a country, we deal with 50,000 suicides every year in this country. 50,000. That was before COVID-19. Before the pandemic, I should say. Isn't that crazy? We're just okay with that? 50,000 people a year are killing themselves? No problem to be found. Isn't that a little strange? According to worldwide statistics, 700,000 people kill themselves every year, according to worldwide statistics. Can you blame them? I mean, look at what life has to offer. You are forced at gunpoint to go into medical experimentation camps when you're a child to learn a bunch of propagandistic garbage that's unnecessary and unhelpful. I'm talking about school. After school, you go to college. Unless you're poor, then you go directly into the workforce. And then you work for 50 fucking years until you retire or die of old age, of diseases that you picked up that destroyed your body throughout your working career, or because there's another pandemic. That's America. What's the point? What is the point? I'm asking sincerely, why not commit suicide if this is what this country has to offer? You go to work at a dead-end job for 40 years and then you die? That's it? That's all we're allowed to have in this fucking shithole? And now you have to work 40 years having a mass disabling event? 92% of people under the age of 18 are going to get disabled in some fashion. In some fashion. Now again, it's possible that a good chunk of them are going to fully recover within 5 to 10 years and they're good to go. It's possible, but that's not going to be the majority. So I don't know, man. I look at all of this stuff and I'm thinking, now, I will tell you this much. If I was working in retail, I'd be gone already. I'm just saying, I would have checked out. The fact that I work from home is the only way that I can prosper in any capacity. Any other option to me, hey, I'm not saying anything, but giving you some context clues. Anyway, back to the old people. Now, what the hell is this fucking shit? Dr. Eric Topol, a physician and professor of molecular medicine at Scripps Research, has dubbed the ongoing rise the senior wave. Oh, wow. Right now, we have an immunity wall built up against the Omicron family between shots and prior infections and combinations thereof that seem to be keeping younger folks in pretty good stead, but the immune systems of people of advanced age are not as strong. Now, I want to talk a little bit about experts in media. CNN is a right-wing organization. Their goal is to minimize and, whenever possible, deny that there is a pandemic. But sometimes the news makes that a little difficult. So what they do is they have a Rolodex of contacts. And they phone up or email up everybody that they can until they find someone that's willing to give them a quote that fits their article. And Dr. Eric Topol, in this instance, is the scumbag of the day. He's willing to sell his credits as a physician and a doctor to minimize the pandemic's deadly behavior. Younger folks in pretty good stead. Now, again, there's a lot going on here in this sentence. This is medical disinformation. This person should not be allowed to be a physician or a professor of anything. Because this is a dumb shit for brains asshole. Seems. The word seems here is doing a lot of work. So there's no proof that younger folks are in pretty good stead. It just seems that way. Now I ask you this question. Why is it that older people have worse immune systems? It's because over the course of their life, they get damaged in multiple ways by multiple sorts of viruses, diseases, poor diet maybe, injuries, whatever. Throughout life, a lot of people collect a lot of injuries. And it doesn't need to be like in a physical trauma. You don't need to fall off a cliff or something. But, a virus can cause an injury to your body in some way. So I ask you this question. If you get COVID as a young adult and you're in, quote, pretty good stead, but your immune system is shreked and you have the immune system of a 70-year-old when you're 43, is that pretty good stead? Why would a doctor say this? I mean, I'm serious. That's crazy shit. Quote, but the immune systems in people of advanced age are not as strong. Okay, no shit. So people are going to get their immune systems more destroyed more quickly. And that's good news. Huh. Wow. Isn't that great? Wow. So once again, when you see experts cited in media, especially places like CNN, what they do is they will ask dozens and dozens and dozens of people for a quote, and they will pick the one that is the most fitting of their narrative. In this instance, Dr. Eric Topol is the daily dumb fuck, the daily dullard in the medical industry. Younger adults who are immunocompromised are also likely experiencing disproportionately severe effects of the latest wave, he said, but there isn't sufficient data to understand trends in that population as well. What the fuck does this mean? Now, notice, by the way, that this is not a quote. So we don't know what Dr. Eric Topol said to this effect. We don't have the quote. When media goes on and they paraphrase what people are saying instead of giving us the quote, that's because the quote goes against their narrative in some way, so they find it easier to paraphrase it, playing a game of telephone. They have the quote. When they say this, think about this, from the media, from the journalist, quote-unquote, perspective, when they say this paragraph, it indicates that they have a quote and they are not publishing it. Now, if they quoted him and then gave this interpretation after the quote, that's one thing. But they are keeping the quote hidden. Younger adults who are immunocompromised are likely experiencing disproportionately severe effects in the latest wave. They're likely experiencing it? What? What does that mean, they're likely experiencing it? That's like saying, if you shoot a hurricane and bullets are flying around in the hurricane, it is likely that the bullets are going to impact people and kill them. We don't know. It's likely. Now, again, I'm referencing reports from Florida where people were shooting assault weapons at the hurricane, and then bullets actually were flying through the hurricane to the point where they actually killed other people in different parts of the city. So, you can look that up. Is that a super frequent phenomenon? I'm not sure, but I thought that was a fun analogy. But anyway. But, quote, the main culprit is booster deficiency with rates that are woefully inadequate. He said it all points to waning immunity. If more seniors had their booster, the effect would be minimal. So again, get your booster shot. If you haven't gotten your booster shot, I'm telling you this right now. I'm the bearer of bad news. If you are eligible, and by eligible I mean medically speaking, you can have the booster shot, which 99% of Americans can. Some people have specific immunocompromisation disorders where they cannot get certain kinds of vaccines. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about everyone else. The only numbers I've seen on bivalent booster uptake, I don't know, is about 15%. Now, again, I haven't seen any new numbers on that, and I'm sure that there are, so if someone wants to update me, that's great. So, what? Now, again, this is all in a country where, for the first time, we have free, effective, safe healthcare, and 85% of the country is like, nah. I'm sorry, if you're eligible to get the booster shot and you haven't yet, you are worse, and I say this very sincerely and without a hint of irony, you are worse than any of the 9/11 hijackers. You are a terrible person. If you are eligible for the booster shot and haven't gotten it yet, it's been out for 4 months, you are as bad as a 9/11 hijacker. What is my logic? Well, 9/11 hijackers, pretty bad people, but they only killed 3,000. We get 3,000 kills in this country every week with COVID-19. So my argument is, if we get a 9/11 every week, and you've been walking around for months or years without doing your duty to protect people, you are worse than a 9/11 suicide bomber. You're going to die at some point. Let's be honest. Going around there without a vaccination, without a booster, without a mask on, you're going to die at some point. Your clock is ticking. Right? But it's not about you dying. I have at it. As far as I'm concerned, join the suicide statistic. But it's the fact that these people are going to kill themselves, but they're going to kill other people. They're going to spread the disease to other people. They're going to go to their parents' house uninvited and give them a disease. They're going to go somewhere else and breathe really hard at the cashier's face, and it's going to go through their mask or whatever, and then they're going to go. So I'm just saying this. If you haven't gotten your vaccine yet, you are worse Not equal to, but worse than a 9/11 hijacker. Or even, I would go as far as to say, all of them combined. Although that one I would need to do a little bit more number crunching on. And I'm talking to conservatives, I'm talking to liberals, I'm talking to leftists, I'm talking to communists. Now again, imagine this. There are people in the United States, not many people, but there are people that literally will call themselves communists or socialists, and yet they are anti-vaccine. They imagine being a communist. What is communism? Community. Socialism. What is the root of socialism? Social. Community. Helping each other. Right? Being there for one another. There are communists in this country that are against vaccines. Free, safe, effective healthcare that can stop the spread of a deadly disease. And even communists in this country are against that shit. So my opinion is, if you call yourself a communist and you haven't gotten vaccinated, guess what? You're a fascist. I don't know what to tell you. What is fascism? What are the tenets of the Nazi Party? Think about it. Oh, we want the greatest thing in the world, healthcare. We want the best food in the world. We want the best everything, but only for my people. That's what fascism is. It's hoarding all the resources for one specific group, usually an ethnic group, at the expense of everyone else. So if you're a so-called communist and you want to go out and kill people that are disabled, that are immunocompromised, that are elderly, I'm just asking you a question. How can you maintain being a communist while also maintaining that you are actively engaging in a genocide of disabled people, poor people, elderly people? Poor people are more disproportionately likely to get infected with COVID. They're also disproportionately more likely to have worse health outcomes. Why? Because they're disproportionately more likely to be working in retail, service industries, being higher at risk because they deal with more people on the day-to-day, right? And they are also poor, so they can't go to the doctor as early as maybe people that are rich would, right? So communists in this country, so-called, self-described in this country, and I'm talking about, I know I'm ranting and raving here, but it blows my mind. I've said this before. DSA chapters across the country, Democratic Socialists of America, are debating whether or not to have a mask-on policy. Now, a lot of them are doing the right thing, obviously, having a mask-on policy. But there are plenty of DSA chapters all across the country, DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, that are engaging in QAnon conspiracy theories and saying, oh, mask optional. That's not communism. That's fascism. You are actively engaging and supporting a genocide of poor people. Socialists? I thought you loved poor people. I consider myself a communist. I love poor people. I want poor people to be better off in society. So what do? I stay home. I wear a mask when I leave the house. So now again, I'm being nitpicky here. But my point is, this isn't just a conservative thing or whatever. Again, political labels, they're really difficult to figure out. But what I'm saying is people that vote for Republicans, that's not the only problem. Liberals. Remember Joe Biden? And I say remember because where the fuck is this guy? Remember Joe Biden when he was running in 2020? Does anyone remember this? And he said, something along the lines of 200,000 dead Americans. Anyone who's president where that happens should not be president or whatever. Remember? I mean, talk about tweets that aged poorly. Holy shit, man. Do you remember when Joe Biden said that he's going to handle the pandemic and he's going to fix this country and get us out of the pandemic? He campaigned on that. And now it's worse. Liberals, vaccination rates among liberal politicians, or not politicians, voters, Democratic voters, into the dumpster. Why? Because Joe Biden, their dear leader, is going on mainstream television telling everyone the pandemic's over. I covered this the other day. The so-called White House COVID response coordinator, gave an interview. I think it was on MSNBC. It could be CNN. It could be one of the, but I think it was MSNBC. But they gave a TV interview saying Americans aren't getting boosted because they're confused. What? Americans aren't getting a booster shot because they're confused? This is coming from the COVID response coordinator? You're confused? They're confused, I mean? Well, who's confusing them? Maybe it's Joe Biden saying the pandemic is over and then not mentioning vaccines in any way other than like a tweet here and there. Not mentioning masking. You're not allowed to mask anymore if you're a Democrat. Remember this big thing all across the country? Democratic politicians were like, take off your mask. Remember Kathy Hochul in New York, the governor of New York, did a huge propaganda campaign. Take off your mask. Take off your mask. Democrats, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about you. Democrats don't care about you at all. Now, again, Republicans want to murder specifically minority groups that I happen to be a part of. And so that's the only reason why I think Democrats are better than Republicans. But when it comes to COVID, the most, regardless of your feelings, oh, you're tired of COVID. I'm over it, bro. Oh, really? Regardless of your triggered little whiny snowflake feelings, COVID, like it or not, is probably going to be the biggest historical event you are living through. Now, we could have World War III. We could all die tomorrow with fucking, apparently Vladimir Putin wants to do some like Christmas fucking blitzkrieg or something in Ukraine. Who knows what's going to go on, right? But anyway. But I don't care what your feelings are. Imagine 30 years from now, your grandkids or whatever are going to ask you, what were you doing during the 10-year pandemic? Because who knows what it's going to be called historically, right? We don't have, like, we're calling it the COVID-19 pandemic right now. We're entering year 4. In a week from now, it'll be year 4, maybe a week and a half or so. It'll be year 4. How long is it going to last? 10 years? 15? 20? So imagine you're sitting there with your grandkids. Now, I know this isn't going to happen because these people are going to die during the pandemic, but just bear with me here. And your grandkids are asking, how did you survive the 20-year pandemic? And your answer would be, I voted for Joe Biden and took my mask off and just hoped and prayed, and I'm praying to Jesus every day. I mean, seriously, I mean, like, I don't... It's weird. This fucking shit is strange. And it's not just Americans. China had a good thing going. Now, was it a great thing? Was it a perfect thing? No, not at all. But it was a good thing going with zero COVID. But China, they got some really dumb motherfuckers in charge of that government. Really dumb ass bitches that are in charge in China. Stupid motherfuckers. And so they decided they're going to lift zero COVID without any good vaccination rates. And the vaccine that they have is garbage because they're too proud to import functional vaccines. So they need to start making vaccines from scratch that are better. And the vaccines they have now are garbage. So guess what? We're probably going to get another mutant strain of this virus any minute now. Any minute now. The B.Q.7.6.9.420. fucking dog strain is coming around the corner. I don't know, man. I say this. We're fucked. Now, again, I have made the decision, and I struggle with this decision. I have decided I'm not getting COVID. I made that decision when the pandemic started. I decided I'm not going to get COVID. I refuse. I recognized my position. I'm able to work from home. I don't really leave the house. I don't really like leaving the house that much to begin with. I made the decision I'm not getting COVID. Now, it's very possible I will get COVID at some point. Very possible. But as we know, repeat infection fucks you up. People that have gotten COVID 5 times, they are fucked compared to people that got COVID 1 time. And if I did get COVID, I know I would have a low viral load because I always leave my house with my mask on. But I decided that I'm not getting COVID. And I struggle. I do. Seeing events, concerts. How many bands I like were doing concerts this year that I would have loved to go to? But I didn't because I didn't want to get COVID. I decided whatever possible experience I would gain from going to a concert is not worth severe theoretical neurological degeneration. I want to go to the movie theater and watch new movies. I want to go to a bar. I want to go to a restaurant. I want to go to festivals. I want to go all over the world and explore, but I'm not because I don't want to get sick. Now, some people will say I'm paranoid. Some people will say I'm being too cautious. But I consider myself to be an artist who is able to function and flourish in my environment as it is. Would I like to go to a bar? Yes. Do I need to? No. I'm an introvert. I would love to do a meetup with my YouTube audience. And I started planning it in 2021, and I'm waiting. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that didn't wait, and they went and did live shows and gave their audience a disease. I'm not going to name names, but you know, if you watch any other podcasters out there, you know which ones had live shows. And a lot of them, you know, hey, I'm not trying to place any blame. A lot of them are spreading COVID. Even if you're trying not to, even if you do testing, there's people that are asymptomatic. You're in a bar with 100 people. All you need is one guy, and boom, a lot of people are getting infected. So I decided I'm not doing that. Why? Why did I make that decision? It would be profitable for me to go out there and do live shows. I would make money. But I don't care about money. I care about my audience's health. But anyway, I don't need to go outside. I'm not like these freaks that, like, you know, they spend 2 minutes inside and they freak the fuck out and want to kill everyone around them. That's not me. So, you know, you can call me paranoid. But hey, I don't know, man. I'm feeling pretty good right now from where I'm sitting. I feel pretty good. I can taste food. I can cook my own food, unlike most Americans. I can taste my food. I can think. I can feel. I can cry. And I can watch movies. I can listen to music. I can draw. I can make things. I can create YouTube videos all from my home. And that's fine for me. Now, I don't know how I'm going to feel in 5 years. In year 8 of this pandemic, or year 9 of this pandemic. I don't know. Maybe I'll have a different opinion. But this idea that it's worth it, that like, oh, it's just obvious. We all need to go outside and kill each other. For what? Like, again, in a logical society, we would have done a 3-month lockdown. The virus would be gone. And we'd all be living our lives and doing whatever we want right now. But we don't live in that world. We live in a world with a bunch of cocksuckers and freaks. And so that's why our society is killing off all the old people. Do you remember? This is a long time ago now, ancient history. March 2020. The lieutenant governor of Texas, I think their name is Patrick or some shit, I don't know. The lieutenant governor of Texas went on Fox News and was asked about COVID and the elderly. And the lieutenant governor of Texas said to America that the elderly should feel proud that they can sacrifice themselves so that younger generations don't have to deal with a depression or economic downturn. Democratic politicians at the time, oh, that is crazy. Oh, how dare you? Our elderly, they've fought in our wars. And now, what are Democratic politicians doing? They're doing the same thing. The Dan Patrick strategy. Joe Biden agrees in lockstep with Dan Patrick of March 2020. Joe Biden of March 2020 agreed with Dan Patrick. You might be thinking, what? During the Democratic presidential primary, several states were delaying their primary elections as a way to ride out COVID and potentially fight against it. Joe Biden lobbied against delaying primaries, but that's not all. A lot of these states were delaying primaries. 2020 Democrat, not Republican. There were no Republican primaries. 2020 Democrat primaries. Why? So that they could get mail-in voting infrastructure set up so that people could vote by mail. Now, if anyone remembers the 2020 general election, Trump versus Biden, you'll remember Trump had a huge problem with mail-in ballots. And Joe Biden would make fun of Trump for that obsession. But when push came to shove, Joe Biden in March of 2020 and April lobbied for in-person primary elections. He used his power in the Democratic Party to lobby for in-person primary elections. So Joe Biden, when push came to shove for his primary, hated mail-in ballots. Hated it. He hated mail-in ballots. He didn't want to risk losing to the evil socialist Bernie Sanders. Barack Obama got called up on the phone. Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, they all colluded and conspired to make sure that mail-in ballots didn't happen. To make sure that in-person voting and spreading of the disease did happen. Joe Biden. And then 6 months later, he was like, oh, why is Trump so concerned about mail-in ballots? Joe Biden knew he benefited from mail-in ballots in the general election, and that's why he supported them in the general. Joe Biden knew Bernie Sanders benefited from mail-in ballots in the primary election, and that's why he did not support mail-in voting in the primary. So again, but most Americans are too fucking stupid. They didn't pay attention to this shit. Why? Because they're dumb. They're dumb. They're fucking stupid motherfuckers. By the way, how long is this segment? This is turning into one of those hour-long COVID segments. Holy shit. So again, I don't know, man. Joe Biden, you asked me this question last year, I'd say maybe Donald Trump handled the pandemic worse. Maybe. That was my answer last year. At this point, the maybes are out the window. Joe Biden has handled the pandemic worse than Donald Trump. It's just a fact. It's just a fucking fact. Think about it. Percentage base of the population. Donald Trump could get 30, 40% of the population to do stupid ass shit like hating masks, hating medicine, washing their apples with bleach. Dumbass shit. But those people are crazy anyway. Those are the crazies by default. Those motherfuckers are already crazy. So Donald Trump didn't, now again, comparing to what an ideal president would have done, horrible, right? But he didn't get liberals to take their masks off. He didn't get liberals to become anti-vaxxers. Who did? Joe Biden. What is the largest demographic in America? Politically speaking, liberals. Liberals. And I don't mean Democrats. I mean liberals. Right? So there's a lot of liberals that, they're apolitical. They don't really care about politics. But, they're liberals. Let's be honest. They support capitalism pretty much. Maybe they have some criticisms. But over the most part, they're liberals. Liberals are the largest population demographic in this country. And now again, think about this. Donald Trump goes anti-vax, anti-mask. Now, eventually later, when he could claim credit for the vaccine, he was pro-vaccine. But he goes anti-vaccine, anti-mask at the start. Liberals are like, oh shit, I gotta wear my mask. I gotta wear 2 of them. And my mask says, F Donald Trump. So liberals, when they saw that, they went extra hard on pandemic protection and prevention. And conservatives went crazy. But when Joe Biden became president and ordered the CDC to tell everyone to take their masks off, did conservatives flip and go, oh, well, Joe Biden doing it, I want to trigger the libs, I want to wear my mask now? No. So conservatives remained to be crazy. Conservatives retained their insanity. And now liberals are insane. So you ask me, who handled the pandemic better? Now again, we're comparing 2 extremely horrible people, right? We're comparing fucking a lump of dog shit versus a lump of cat shit. So it's hard to tell which one's better, which one's worse. But you ask me why I believe Joe Biden has failed us more than Donald Trump. My answer is only Joe Biden could have convinced Democrats and liberals to take their masks off and to avoid vaccines. There is no universe where Donald Trump gets reelected and liberals take their masks off and turn anti-vax. They would have doubled down. Let's be honest. Liberals are zombies just as much as conservatives. They would have doubled down. Some of them maybe would have peeled off, sure. But a lot of them would have doubled down. Just for branding. I'm resisting. Hashtag resist. But then Joe Biden comes along. He's got a D next to his name. And so now the liberals, what's a vaccine? Never heard of them. Booster shot? What's that? Free healthcare? Oh. So, there's your hour-long COVID segment. I don't know, man. We're doomed. So, I don't know what to tell you. We got a dumb fuck in the chat. Semantic dust. Yeah, but you have Trump derangement syndrome, so your opinion means nothing. You literally thought he colluded with Russia? Lol. Semantic dust, because you're an expert on my opinions, can you point to me any segment I've ever made where I have said that Donald Trump colluded with Russia? Can you find that for me? Because I've never said that, and I don't believe that. Now, would I say that I have Trump derangement syndrome? Sure. I have Joe Biden derangement syndrome too. I don't like either of them. I think they're both garbage. But if your evidence is some random shit I don't even believe, chances are you're just making it up. You're a right-wing troll who doesn't know anything about my opinions, and you're just assuming I'm like a Hillary Clinton superstan, which is strange given the last 20 minutes of my show. Very strange. Very strange. So if anyone has a syndrome that is similar to derangement and clouds their ability to participate in conversations reasonably, rationally, and logically, seems to me it would be the person lying about the other person's opinions and making random shit up. Now, what is my opinion on Russiagate? My opinion on Russiagate is no fucking shit. Vladimir Putin wanted Donald Trump to win the election. Duh. Vladimir Putin is a right-wing neo-fascist. Of course he would want a ally or potential ally in the White House. I mean, especially compared to Hillary Clinton. I mean, Hillary Clinton is a Russia hater. She hates Russia. She hates Putin. So no fucking shit. If you think that Vladimir Putin is ambivalent on U.S. elections, you're a dumbass. Now, does that mean Donald Trump flew out to Russia and they had secret fucking meetings where they planned to take down Hillary Clinton and install Donald Trump as the president? No shit. They don't need to. If you think that Donald Trump is flying out there and having the fucking smoke-filled backroom chat like House of Cards style with the Russian president, you're a dumb fuck. They didn't need to. I don't know what to tell these people, man. They're just fucking stupid. They're just fucking stupid. In the same way that the United States aided and abetted a coup in Brazil. In 2018, the Trump government assisted rhetorically and propagandistically a coup in Brazil. The coup occurred by creating fake charges against the presidential candidate that was leading by double digits in the polls, forcing them to go to jail. They were later exonerated. They didn't do any crimes. The United States aided that coup. Why? Because they wanted a right-winger in charge. Does that mean that Jair Bolsonaro flew up from Brazil to meet with Donald Trump to decide how they're going to coup the government? No. They just had aligned interests. So I don't know why I'm explaining this to a fucking moron, but I don't know, man. This goddamn cold snap going on right now. Holy fucking moly. Look at this shit. Got snowflakes on the windows. It's crazy. So anyway. I'm going to do a movie review segment here. And then that'll be the show. I'm going to talk about this maybe on Sunday or tomorrow. January 6th committee releases final report. Says Donald Trump should be barred from office. 2 years too late, but whatever. But we'll go into that later. Holy macaroni. Everyone, subscribe to my other YouTube channel at Doom Speedruns. It's cool, and you should check it out. Seems like a good time to remind you about RubyCon. It's in the list. The mental list. Laundry Day. Watch Pinocchio. It was great. Yeah, I'm looking into that. I don't think I've ever seen any Pinocchio films. I'm vaguely aware of how the story goes. But I never watched like that Disney shit when I was young. So there's my Twitch link. I've been streaming lately, nothing too big, but if you want to hang out, that'd be cool. All right, y'all. I'm going to jump into a film review segment. I do this sometimes, but I don't do it often. Where I usually like to review movies one at a time. But I took a couple days off and I watched a trilogy of films over the course of that couple days. And I want to talk about all three at once. And so let me put the posters up here. I watched the John Wick trilogy. Now, again, there's going to be more of these movies. So, but as of now, there's only 3 of these. I watched all 3 of them. I've seen one of these movies at some other point, but I've never seen all of them. And I'm not going to lie to y'all. These are bangers. Now, I mean, I don't even know what to tell you. This is a banger movie series. Very infrequently do I see movie franchises where sequels are better or equivalent to the original. Right? You look at, like, another series I watched, an action series I watched, is Die Hard. Each Die Hard movie is a step down. Now, are they all bad? No. But, like, Die Hard 1 is the best. Die Hard 2, it's pretty good. Die Hard 3, it's pretty good. I haven't seen the other ones yet. Right? But most movie series, sequels are usually worse. Right? John Wick is one of those exceptions. Now, I will say, I don't know which one is the best, and I don't even know if you could decide which one is the best. As far as I'm concerned, each sequel is just more of the good stuff. Right? You watch a movie like this for the fucking crazy action fights, right? And you don't watch a movie like this, right, for like a riveting emotional tale of trauma. Like, you don't watch a movie like this for a beautiful, well-written, and immaculate story. Now, again, the story is good. But you watch a movie like this because you want to see Keanu Reeves kick the fucking shit out of people and stab them to death with pencils and library books. That's why you watch these movies, right? And if that's why you watch these movies, you're going to love these fucking movies. Again, John Wick, the first one, it's a movie. that it's a movie and it stars Keanu Reeves. And so basically, this guy is a former assassin, a retired assassin. And he, is living a normal life. He gets married. He has a wife. She dies somehow, some disease. The wife's dying gift, she's on her deathbed, and she's like, yo, I'm going to buy my husband a puppy and then get the puppy delivered to the doorstep after I die, which is a little, so, and then some Russian gangsters essentially rob John Wick. Now, they don't know who John Wick is. They just rob him because they like his car. They rob him. They kill the dog. Now, I'm not going to lie to y'all. I was crying. Now, we're talking like 15 minutes into this movie. I'm in tears. The way that dog... either the dog gets killed instantly in the beating. They don't shoot the dog or anything. They kick the dog and beat the dog. So, either the dog gets killed instantly. We don't know. But all we know is there's a cut. And Keanu Reeves, a.k.a. John Wick, is lying next to the dog. Now, did John Wick crawl to the dog, or did the dog crawl to John Wick and die? That's ambiguous. All I'm going to say, man, I was crying, okay? I was like... Right, so then the movie is, he's a retired assassin, but, he goes out there and he hunts down the Russian mafia or whatever that, apparently it's like some guy he used to work for's son, right? And the son is like some just, nepotism baby, like he doesn't know, he's just like, he's a piece of shit, right? And that's his character. Like the Russian guy who kills the dog is just a piece of fucking shit. He doesn't have any humanistic qualities. He doesn't have any good, he's just a fucking piece of fucking shit, right? And so I love it. So John Wick is again, he's going through these motherfuckers. You were seeing these, like, again, if someone's probably done this, the body count in these movies, man, there's hundreds of motherfuckers. It's crazy. Was I high when I watched it? Of course I was high when I watched it. I don't watch movies sober, you dumbass. Anyway, but so his thing is he's going to kill the child who killed his dog. But of course the child is a nepotism baby of like the leader of the Russian mafia. So the dad is protecting him. But like, think about it from the dad's perspective. There's a great scene when the dad like punches his kid and says, you really fucked up, right? And that's because the dad knows that now he's going to have to go to war with John Wick, and he doesn't want to. And that's what I love about this movie, the first movie, is that the dad, the Russian mafia guy, doesn't want to do any of this, but he does it anyway because he has to protect his child, right? So it's like, he doesn't want to. He's not like engaged in protecting, and he eventually sells his kid out and gives John Wick the coordinates of the child so that John Wick can go kill the child, right? So, but again, he does it all for no reason. He doesn't really want to do it, but he feels obligated to do it. And eventually, again, John Wick destroys the whole Russian mafia. They show him at the start of the second movie basically cleaning up the rest of them. Right. And then I'm sure that there's still some people in that group that are alive. But, he basically cleans them up in the start of the second movie and they're all dead. So he just, I don't know, man. It's crazy. I don't know. This is a movie series that I can't really review the movies because it's like, you just have to watch it. Like, I can't spoil the movie. Like, what am I going to do and say, like, oh, that part where they're, like, fucking in the antique store and they're, like, they're taking the antiques and throwing the... You don't... Like, if you haven't seen the movies, I just sound like I'm babbling. You just have to watch them. Like, if you like action movies, this is the shit. I don't know what to tell you. Like, and again, action movies. Let's look at another trilogy of films with Keanu Reeves, The Matrix. I watched all the Matrix movies for the first time about a year and a half ago or so. Now, I like Matrix 2 and 3. I think they're good. But I don't think it's even remotely in the realm of questioning whether or not Matrix 1 is the best movie. Now, I will say Matrix 4, also really good. But Matrix 1 is clearly the best movie. 2 and 3, they're good. They're not as good, right? John Wick, on the other hand, right? John Wick 2 and 3 are as good, if not better. And my argument for that is that I think they're all of equal high quality for the action thriller genre. I think they're equally of high quality. But the more time you spend with the characters, the more engaged you get. And so therefore, I declare John Wick 3 to be the best film of the series, only because if you watch John Wick 1 and 2, 3 is going to be a lot better. If you just jump into 3, it's not going to be nearly as good as if you have the context of the first two. Right? I mean, I don't even know. Like, so he's a retired assassin, right? But there's like an assassination guild, right? And, you know, they see that he basically takes out the Russian mafia. So they're like, oh, is John Wick out of retirement? So they try to get him back into the life of being an assassin. In chapter 2 of the films, one of his former assassin colleagues or whatever has what's called a marker. And a marker is like a blood contract that you're forced to follow. But it's not supernatural, right? It's just that it's like the rules. Like they specify like these are the rules. And so in John Wick Chapter 2, they establish more of the world. We get a little bit of a peek into the world in the first chapter where he's going into the hotel called the Continental, which is like a safe zone. You're not allowed to kill or shoot or anything in there. And he's got like these coins that he uses. So there's like a network of like resources and like all that stuff. So we get a little bit of that in the first movie. And in the second movie, we get more of the world building. So we find out that there's a governmental body of assassins called the High Table. And one of John Wick's former colleagues is a sibling. Now, again, I guess the High Table is like nepotism shit. Because like the sibling explains that like my sister is in that seat because my stupid parents or father, I think, picked her instead of me, and he's jealous and wants to be in the seat. So there's no voting involved. I don't really, but whatever. So, but it's interesting that in the universe here, the marker is hierarchically more important than the High Table, right? So you can use a marker to assassinate members of like the government of this assassination guild, right? So anyways, so John Wick feels forced to do it because of the rules or whatever. So he goes and kills the High Table, which is essentially the politician, right? And then the other guy, the plan is a success. The other guy gets the seat. And then he's like, oh shit, John Wick murdered my sister. We got to kill this guy. So he totally fucking betrays John Wick. And that ends in chapter 2, where John Wick kills this guy at the Continental Hotel, which is supposed to be like a sacred ground. It's like home base, you ever playing freeze tag or whatever, and like you got to touch the tree and you're safe, That's kind of the logic here. But John Wick breaks the rules and he kills someone in the hotel, and that's what sets up the third movie, where he's excommunicated from the whole assassination network and everyone's trying to kill him. And it's great. I mean, I don't know what to say. You got Lawrence Fishburne in these movies, who plays like the king of the homeless people. It's great to see those characters, in the same universe again. The ending of Chapter 3 is really good. I don't necessarily want to spoil it. It's hard to spoil these movies, but I feel like Chapter 3 has the most spoilable plot out of any of them, so I don't want to explain that, but I'm excited for the next movie. I'm excited. The Lawrence Fishburne, Keanu Reeves team up that we've all been waiting for is going to happen in Chapter 4, apparently. So I'm in. But anyway, man, these movies are great. The scenes in Chapter 3 where John Wick has a friend who has dogs, and the dogs are killing motherfuckers, but the way that the dogs attack people is they always grab their balls. It's just great. I mean, I was worried that the dogs were going to get hurt, but they survived. But like seeing, like, there's this one part in John Wick 3 where a dog like jumps off of John Wick's back and then like climbs up a wall, right, to bite some motherfucker's balls off that's hanging up on a rooftop. Like, I mean, Jesus, I was blown away. Like the choreography of the action scenes in these films are just excellent. And also the locations. These movies, I mean, I'm telling you this. We're talking about the corner of arts and farts with these films, right? John Wick 2, there's like a fight where they're in like some like museum. They're in like a New York art museum, and they're in like a mirror world, right? And like you're seeing a bunch of mirrors, right? And then there's like a bunch of wavy mirrors, and this fucking carnival ass shit, and they're all fighting in the mirrors, and they're breaking. I'm like, what the fuck? And you got John Wick 3, where they've just got this see-through glass, like, skyscraper bullshit, and for no reason. And then you've got like this random television screen that's like broadcasting some like fucking, that like fucking, Windows like 95 like audio player visualizer bullshit that's just like, and it's like bright ass colors. There's a lot of bisexual lighting in these movies. Like, I mean, I'm saying this much, like, action movies are action movies, but there's a lot of the artsy fartsy shit in these films. I love them. I think it's great. I watched all 3 of these movies over the course of the last 2 days. I think they're excellent. I don't, if you like action films, I don't know what to tell you. These are excellent. I mean, as far as the action film genre goes, these might be the best action films I've ever seen. I mean, honestly, Die Hard is another really good one. But like, these are just, they're just fun to watch. Like, every single like second is just, it's entertaining. It's nonstop. Like, it's nonstop. You sit down and watch all 3 of these movies. It'll be like maybe around 5 or 6 hours total. Non-fucking stop. They don't fuck around in these movies. It's nonstop. When there's not action happening, it's like some epic dialogue, some like really epic lines. I mean, like, and now again, John Wick 3, they do develop like a fart sniffing apparatus with the dialogue a little bit, where it's like the lines are a little bit too like action cliche, but it also kind of works because it's like, it's good because it's kind of like the parody of the genre kind of thing. Like, they're just referencing, like, yes, this is an action movie, and the characters are going to be saying these epic one-liners, and yes, it's a little cheesy, but yes, you're going to enjoy it kind of thing. That's how I feel. I don't know, man. Like, there's so many good scenes. I can just sit here and say, oh, the scene when he's going through the streets on the horse, and the scene where they're in the fucking club and they're like fucking, this, I can just sit here and do that for the next fucking 5 to 10 minutes, but I don't need to. It's unnecessary. It would be gratuitous, just like the films themselves with some of these action scenes, but whatever. Anyway, if you like this genre, if this is a genre for you, and you haven't seen the John Wick films, mandatory as far as I'm concerned. If you like action films, mandatory viewing. I mean, just if you like movies in general, mandatory viewing. You gotta watch them. So that's the John Wick trilogy. Apparently there's going to be 4 and 5, because I looked this up. Apparently 5 is already in production and 4 is coming out in a couple months. So I'm in. I'm all in. So, I'm in. But anyway, goddamn, some bangers. Bangers, let me tell you. Non-stop. I'm telling you. I thought they would stop, but they didn't. It's non-stop bangers. Anyway, y'all, subscribe to my Doom speedrunning channel. Once again, I want to remind everybody, I don't care if you like video games. It doesn't matter to me at all. Your opinion on video games, your opinion on Doom, I don't give a fuck, right? I want you to play my new Doom mod. It's called A War on Christmas. You murder thousands of Santa Clauses, all right? What's there not to love about it? I don't give a fuck if you've ever played Doom before. I don't give a fuck. I will help you install the game. You can go on Steam. You can go on GOG. Look it up. Buy Doom 2. Play my game. It's not that hard. I don't give a shit if you've ever played the game before. I don't give a shit if you've ever played any video games before. That is not relevant to me at all. That is like, oh, wow, so precious. You've never, as far as I'm concerned, that's more of a reason. The first Doom experience could be my game. That's great. That's more of a reason to play them. Everyone in my audience, mandatory, play my game or else. And you can download it over here on doomworld.com and check it out. So . That's it. That's the show. That's all I got. Or else what? I mean, I'll just be disappointed, you know? Not mad, not angry, but disappointed is what I will be. But anyway, that's the show. I will be streaming Sunday, 10. I know normally Sunday I do 12. Sunday, 10 a.m. above it all. And immediately after, I will do a twitch.tv stream where I will play through The Grinch on PlayStation 1. What is The Grinch? The Grinch is a game where you play as the Grinch, you murder Santa Claus live on stream, and you basically, like, you just troll a bunch of children, you make them cry, right? You destroy Christmas, you burn down Christmas trees. It's a great game. I hate Christmas. If you hate Christmas, watch my show. Or else. So, what equipment do I need? You need a computer, and you need Doom 2. You can get it running on any machine, I promise you. If your machine cannot run Doom 2, that's a problem. So, but yeah, you know, obviously, you know, be safe in the winter storm. All that stuff. That's all I got, though. I mean, that's pretty much it. If anyone wants me to make a tutorial, like if you are the dumbest person, and I say dumb, you know, in an ignorance way, if you're the most ignorant person in the world, if you want me to make a tutorial on how to install my Doom mods for someone that's never played Doom or whatever, I'm down to make a video tutorial if you want. Can you use an ordinary mouse? I use an ordinary mouse. I bust out world record speed runs with an ordinary fucking mouse. Here, look at this shit. You think I'm a fancy ass gamer? I'm getting world records with this fucking shit. I'm one of the best players in the history of the world, and this is what I got. So, you know, it's not that complicated. I'm not leaving my house for a couple days. I'm not leaving my house for a couple years in this 10-year pandemic. Anyway, thank you all. I will do a tutorial if you want me to. Just DM me and I'll do it later. Thank you all. Have a good one. I will see you again. I might stream tomorrow. I might not. I'm not sure yet. Okay, just to be honest with you. I'm just being honest with you. I'll let you know in the morning if I don't. I might. If I do tomorrow, it will be 12 normally. And again, Sunday, 10 a.m., starting early for Above It All, then jumping into the Grinch stream. So, but anyway, thank you all. Have a good one, and I'll see you later.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know. I'll kiss every guy, man and woman, man and woman. Look at that guy, how handsome he is. I'll kiss him.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
So today, on behalf of the United States, I want to thank every Olympian and Paralympian. And that was just incredible. And what happened with the Paralympics was so incredible and so inspiring to me. And I watched. It's a little tough to watch too much, but I watched as much as I could.
The truth of the matter is that the truth of the matter is that when you look at some of my policies, in a lot of ways, Richard Nixon was more liberal than I was.
It's not a fetish. It's not a fetish. That's a term like I just love information.